Hello friends, we're doing more customer work today. This is a customer's 60 Ragtop that's been in his family for quite some time, and it's getting some more modern updates today. So we have a complete from Vintage V-Dubs WILWOOD disc brake kit. We're also going to do 2.5-inch drop spindles in the front. This is a link pin, so it's going to require some rebuilding, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how this works out. I'm also going to include a link in the description to Vintage V-Dubs website where you can find this kit and many others, because this is just the 2-piston caliper setup. They have 4-piston caliper setups and a range of bolt patterns and stuff. They do the front, they do the rear. They've got all kinds of stuff. So first things first, I have to pull the front end apart. I'm probably going to pull everything out before I start pulling stuff apart, but I will show you what I've got to do to the spindles first before I can put the whole disc brake kit on and everything. So I'm going to pull the wheel off and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, current problem is I'm pretty sure this wheel bearing is stuck on the spindle shaft. And I don't think I'll be able to get this backing plate off while that bearing is on. So I'm going to clean this up, just wipe it down, start trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to pull that off. Apparently I didn't press record, at least I haven't done the other side yet. So I got the bearing off with a lot of fire and a pry bar. It popped right off, and then I was able to get the backing plate off. So I will show you what I've got to do now to get the spindles in. So this is a King and Link steering knuckle. And you've got your links on the top and the bottom, and then there's another pin that goes through the center, and that is the King. This is called a carrier, this section that's got the links in it, and the center section is your actual spindle. So, we're going with is the driver's side drop spindle. So I've got to take this whole unit apart and press all the bushings out and replace those and new Kings and ream everything and yada yada yada. And then this is going to go in the middle, and it lowers the front of the car by raising the center point of the wheel up. So this is higher, as you can see. It's there in the middle. It's higher by about 2.5 inches. So when this point goes up, it brings the car down, basically. So I'm going to start yanking this all apart so that I can start doing the thing here. And when I do that, I wear these pinch bolts on the top, or the top and the bottom, and that'll be able to get the whole link out. And I've just got to take the tie rod out when we're replacing the steering box and all the units in there and everything. So all that's going to be brand new. But I'm gonna take this whole thing off, and I'll show you how to disassemble that. Sometimes you need some jazz to loosen the torque.
Is the washer on that one? Is the washer? Yeah.
Liberated. Okay. All right. I've got these off now. The next step is going to be to disassemble them, which I'm going to do after lunch. But basically, in a nutshell, These pins are going to come out, and I'll have to punch the bushings that these go through out so that I have access to the Kingpin. So those will get pressed out, and then I'll press them out that way, and then, you know, reverse order assembly. Okay, I know there's something. Next one, I think I'm probably going to need a press for. Okay, and then as I remember, it slides out. And there you go. All right, so into the spindle off, and the carrier. And you can kind of see down there, that'll stay up. You can kind of see a little brass a little brass bushing on the outside right there. And then I've got the two big guys from the link pins that I already punched out of here. So now I'm going to figure out how to get those guys out of there. Once I get those out, I can press the new ones in. As I recall, the bottom one, I actually, once it's in, I've got a notch so that the new spindle can kind of slide into that space. So I'm gonna go next door in the warehouse where we've got a wash basin and kind of get all the schmoo and whatnot off of this so that I can see it a little bit better. Socket and a hammer, really. Out of there. Turn it right side around. I'm gonna wipe this down. I've got to read through my manual to refresh my memory on this process, because it's been a little bit since I've done some. I know that once I get the king bushings in here, I'm going to have to ream them. You need a very specific ream to do that, and I will show you what I'm talking about when I get to that step. So bear with me while I do some light reading. All right, well, this part's actually pretty easy, putting the Kingpin bushings in. So I'm kind of just going to do the reverse of what I did to get them out. I'm going to stick these down in here and wail on them a bit with a socket and a hammer. They are going to mushroom because they're brass, but that will be remedied by the reaming that I've got to do. So I'm going to start doing this, and then I will show you how far exactly they've got to go in here. So we're just going to do a little. All right, so you can kind of see I've got that new bushing in there, and it's almost flush with the bottom. And then I'm going to have to notch that section out so that the new spindle can slide in. So, but I'm gonna put the bottom one in next, and then I'll show you how to ream it. Okay, it's time for the reaming part. This is the fun step. In order to do this, you need to get one of these. Okay, and this is a ream, and it is the kind of ream that is designed to make sure 2 points are lined up. Two points with a space in the middle are lined up for something to go through them. You cannot use a ream that does not have blades in 2 places. Getting a ream that just has this section here is not going to help you. Because this is designed to make sure that when this cuts through, it's cutting the same 2 points in the same way, so that when the pin goes back through, everything is straight and the same. Using one that only has one set of cutters on it doesn't do that. These are a pain in the ass to find, and when you do find them, they're really expensive. I think I paid almost $200 for this. Use some kind of fluid. I like to use PB Blast just to spray it down every now and again and go down. When it feels like it stops cutting, it's done cutting. Alright. I'm gonna do a little bit of, oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try to do it by hand first, just to kind of get it lined up. There we go. I've got a 16 mil 12-point socket on this guy. Okay. Alright, see how that tone changed? It's usually pretty indicative of it being done cutting, as well as the resistance isn't there anymore. So I'm just going to do one more, line that up, there we go, all the way down with it. Okay. I'm probably really should have made those notches that I was talking about first, because I'm going to end up doing this again now. So let me notch that out, and I'll pass this through one more time and start trying to reassemble this. And then I will paint it afterwards. It looks like I'm going to have to replace one of these Zerk fittings as well, because the little ball came out. So, all right, so you can see that there's this notch here. All right, and that the bushing goes beyond it, okay? So that notch is to allow this locator to slide the spindle into its place. So I'm going to take a flat file and just go to town on that so that it's nice and clear, and then I'll probably have to run the ream through here again, because that's going to create a lip on the inside. So I'll just have to do a quick little, and it should be fine. And then I can start assembling this and hope that I get it right the first time. Is this the one I used the last time? Alright, so I've got that all sorted out. Now I can start reassembling these. These go on top of this little pin here. And I've had to reuse the ones off the original spindles because the units that come with the new Kingpin kit do not fit, which is a pretty common issue. So now you'll see that there's an angled side and a flat side on these, and as far as I can tell, I'm going to triple check before I actually put this together, but the flat side is going to be, come on, the flat side of this is going to be out towards the inside of the car, kind of like in line with the arm for the arm for the tie rod, and the angled side faces out towards the spindle with that corner facing forward. So once I get this kind of lined up on, yeah, like that. Okay, now I can take this all over to the press, and I can start putting a new pin in, and then we can start trying to get the new bushings for the link pins in next. Yeah, well, that's, yep, great. Well, it turns, still. Oh, yes, I did shit myself. Thank you for asking. All right. I've got this together. It moves very nicely. There's not, there's no play in that, which is nice. So, all right. I'm going to wrap up for today. Tomorrow's project will be getting the new bushings for the link pins in here, and they do have to be kind of slotted or positioned specifically according to where the Zerk fittings are. So I'll be doing that. At least these I can do with a socket and a hammer. When I do the other set, I'll show you how I had this positioned in the press so that it stopped exploding on me, because I was doing something very dumb. So I'll show you that tomorrow when I get around to doing that. But first task tomorrow was going to be getting those other bushings in, and then I can start reassembling. All right, that's the next day. So I've got to get these guys in their home, and according to my manual, or as far as I can tell, these grease ports need to face towards the Zerk fittings. So I've got to get those in there thusly, and figure out how to use the camera. So I'm gonna do one of these to make sure I have a way to do it, and then I will show you how to do the other one. So you take your little port there, and I'm just gonna stick it right over there. I'm just gonna taking your ream again. It's a little bit of sauce in there, I guess. I'm just gonna, I like to go through the open end because it's, you know, already open. Can I? Nope. And I usually take a paper towel and just kind of get all the schmoo and filings out. And then I'll take a pin and just make sure that it goes through without binding up on anything. It does. Nice and tight too. A little bit of filing up here where I peen the edge over so that this will go all the way in, but once I get that done, unless it comes in from the back, I actually decided to paint these because there was a lot of bare metal on the spindle. So while this is drying, I'm going to start disassembling and reassembling the other one. And then hopefully by the time that's all back together and painted, this one will be dry and I can put it on the car. Oh, almost didn't film this. So I've got to get a floor jack over here so that I can get the arm up high enough to get the other pin in. But once that's in, I can start putting the disc kit on and start swapping everything else over. So it's a rainy Wednesday morning, and I realized at the end of the day yesterday that I ran out of storage on my phone
while I was putting the spindle on, so I didn't actually catch that. Luckily, I still have the other side, not that I have any good places to film from over there, and the lighting's pretty bad, so we'll see if I can make that happen. Otherwise, I'll do my best to explain what needs to happen. So after I realized that, the only other thing that I did was pull the old backing plates and hard and soft lines out, so that those aren't in the way anymore. I'm probably going to do the opposite side spindle next, get that in, and then I'll start pulling the tie rods and the steering box. I might try to do the master cylinder. That's going to be a pain in the ass because I've got to do it from inside the car, and I'm hoping I can get away with not having to pull the cluster, the pedal cluster. So I think that's it. I am going to replace the shocks because they're dead. I shouldn't be able to compress it that fast, and it should return.
Good view in my hole here. So now we've got to adjust these, and if you rotate the pin, you can see down there that slot starts to move. All right, so you want to get it so that the hole is unobstructed, thusly. And then you'll take one of your bolts and you'll stick it in there. Okay, and then you'll continue. Right. You'll continue to tighten it, and it'll kind of suck it in like that. Okay. Once you get it nice and tight, you can throw a nut on that and tighten it down, and do the same thing on the bottom. And you're done. I'm gonna go eat lunch, and then I'm gonna continue taking advantage of all this activity space to do the master cylinder and the hard lines that go to each side. Haven't quite figured out if I need to do the front to rear line. That one looks okay. I think it's really going to depend on how easy it bends without completely collapsing. So we'll see how that goes. But I did buy an entire hardline kit just in case things went sideways. So I'm gonna go have lunch, and then we'll start making a mess of this. Here's something important to note. Where the let's see if I can get good lighting in here. Where the master cylinder passes through the bulkhead here, you can see this tube between the two pieces of sheet. There should be two of those, and there are here. But a lot of times, guys will take the master out, and those tubes will fall into the bulkhead, and they don't know that they're there, or they forget about them. And those are really important to stop the firewall or bulkhead, whatever, the Napoleon's hat, from kind of crushing in on itself when you tighten the bolts for the masters down. Because when that happens, then you can lose tension on the master itself, and it gets all floppy, and that's not a good thing. So make sure those tubes are there. So here is the new master setup for the Ragtop. This is a dual circuit master as opposed to the factory single circuit master. What that means is that if for any reason you lose pressure in the front or the rear, those two circuits are separate. So if you lose the rear, you'll still have the fronts. If you lose the front, you'll still have the rear, and you'll still have some sort of braking ability. Whereas with a single circuit master, it's all one unit. And if you lose a wheel, whether the slave cylinder blows up, or you lose a line or a hose or whatever, you lose the braking system entirely. So this is a really good thing to upgrade to kind of modernize the car a little bit, as well as these move a lot more fluid than a single circuit one does, and that's a good thing to have when you move over to a disc brake setup.
Something else that we're going to move over to is using the stainless braided lines. I like these because they are able to withstand a lot more pressure. They don't expand, and they don't dry rot the way that the rubber ones will, because there is no rubber. When the rubber ones dry out and rot, you can actually lose a lot of your pressure, because when you press on the pedal, the hose will actually expand rather than allowing fluid through. Sometimes also they can collapse when they sit a while, and they'll let the fluid through, but they won't let it back into the system, and that's what causes your brakes to lock up when you've had a vehicle sitting for a long time. So we're going to go over to those in the front. The dual circuit cars, which I believe started in '67, they had 2 ports underneath for switches, for like the dash and your parking brake, I think, and fluid and yada yada. But we don't have that set up in this car. It's too early. So Vintage V-Dubs actually sells a kit for this that includes a switch as well as a brass plug, just to do the other port. Pretty sure the switch is going to go all the way on the end. I think I'm going to do some research there, but I'm gonna put these in before I install the master and before I start doing the other lines, just for space sake. And then the reservoir is actually going to plug right in the top here, and then I don't have to worry about running double lines and V'ing it off the original one, which I've tried to do several times, and it never really seals the way I want it to, and it's constantly leaking. So I'm hoping this will be a lot better system. Well, I wish I could say that I got this in entirely all by my lonesome, but I did not. I got lucky, and Kyle happened to stop by to get the Tundra, so he helped me get this threaded in. So that's all set now. I can start running the front lines. I'll probably wait to do the front to rear line when I have it on the ground. So I'll at least get the front end situated, and then we can start doing the actual disc brakes themselves, get it on the ground, do that front to rear line, and then put it back up and bleed the whole system. Alright, I've got this corner run. Bending that line is a real pain in the ass, but let it in. Okay. It's day 3 of doing the disc brakes and everything on the Ragtop. Ben's on his way. He's gonna keep doing some work on the oval for me. Put the disc brakes on so that I can get the wheels straight, and then I'll reattach the steering wheel. I'm gonna start assembling the rotors. So I've got this fancy bearing installer, and you've gotta select the right piece to fit in your bearing race. Then you'll just hammer the ever-living hell out of it to get that in. And then you can pack the bearings, and you can even use this to put seals in. So I'm going to do that with at least the passenger side and probably the driver's side as well, because I don't think that's going to be done drying in 50-degree heat. So I'm going to do these and see if put the wheels on and see if they actually clear. Alright, I've got all the bearings greased. I've got the rear seals in. Now I can go ahead and install them onto the spindle, and then get the caliper on. I still got to move the pads on that because they fell out of a clip. Well, it's on. I'm gonna try to fit a wheel and see if it hits. going great so far. God damn it. What even thread is that? If Ben could just shut up for a second. I got the wheel on and it's not hitting. So now I get to take it off and finish everything else, I guess. But it's on. I'll be able to use the caps and everything, so it'll be interesting to see how much this actually sticks out now. Ugh. Alright, I got too excited. The tie rods are still loose, but the steering box is tight. I've got the tie rods adjusted, at least kind of eyeballed for the wheels to be straight. I really want to see what this thing looks like on the ground with the wheels on, mostly because I want to know if the tires are hitting the fender or not. So I'm gonna put it on the ground and we're gonna see together. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna roll this back and forth a couple of times to get the rear to stabilize and see how it's actually sitting. Well, oh, those wheels are out pretty far. I'm sure it's only gonna look weirder with the hubcaps on too. The height's good though, I like the height. Well, it's not rubbing, and I do like the stance, but you could probably do with a slightly smaller tire. I don't know if skinnier is even an option for these. I'm pretty sure they're 4.5s, but we definitely got to play with the tire size. I'm probably going to end up pulling everything apart again and adjusting the link pin shims to try to get the camber in just a tiny bit, especially on the other side. That one's pretty far out. The next step is going to be getting it back up on the lift, tightening the tie rods. I'm going to try to make some sort of contraption that'll allow me to kind of eyeball the alignment on the lift with a tape measure. And then bleed the brakes, and then we can start trying to find tires to try to fit it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not already. Share with your friends, leave a comment, tell me what I did wrong. And see you at the next one. Thanks.